Warning, there's some bad language used in this video, because apparently that's how real people talk. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello. Welcome to the first episode of the Best Wargaming Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor, and this is my co-host, Colton. All right, today we're bringing you the top 5 things that we've learned, gathered, ingested, you might say, over the last 2 years of being in the hobby. Okay, we started about 2 years ago. Actually, next month is about 2 years ago since we've started the hobby. And We're sharing with you our top 5 hot takes. Okay, Colton, would you like to go first with your top?
Ain't even a hot take. This is just a normal take.
A normal take?
This is just a normal take because everyone should think this way.
Hit me with it.
My number 5. It wouldn't be number 1. This is a gameplay mechanic. Everything. Look, 3-inch deep strike might be a problem in the game. Okay, which it actually just got fixed. Now nothing else can 3-inch deep strike in the game. 3-inch deep strike in the game, but at least there's a ways to play around 3-inch deep strike. You can try and screen. Why does a monolith 3-inch deep strike and then take 10 OC2 dudes and just spit them out right next to it?
Just poop them right out,
and they get to be 1.00001 inches away from any of your models. I should have had a little diagram. You can have the point completely spread out. And as they can get as close as they want. That was my number 5. Not a hot take. But the monolith should not be allowed to just teleport 10 dudes wherever it wants. I guess you have to be wholly within 6 of the monolith, but that thing's huge.
So the reason why I think that's bad is, one, some armies just don't even have any type of tech to contradict that. So super elite armies can't do anything about it because they don't have the stuff to screen. So you're kind of just at the mercy of wherever that hypercrypt or monolith is going to go and then just shit dudes out. And a lot of the time those elite armies like Custodes only have little sisters to hold the point. So they just drop down and then you're off the point.
Which now you don't have to worry about as much because 6-inch deep striking a monolith is a lot harder than 3-inch deep striking a monolith.
100%.
I don't think it's as bad. It probably wasn't even that bad of a thing, but it was on my list because I had to play against it and I hated it.
Yeah.
I despised it.
All right. So you started at the bottom of your list. I'm going to start at the top of my list. Okay. So I'm going to do my top number 1 take going from being in 2 years in the hobby is going to events, meeting people, and joining a team. Right. So that has been the best part of 40K for me personally, is just going to events, rolling some dice, and hanging out with the dudes. We've met a ton of great people going to these events. Our first event that we went to, I walked in, I was like, "What's up, dudes? We've never been here." Me and Colton went to the first tournament together, and then we met somebody and they introduced everybody in the scene. So we were kind of immediately welcomed by the community, and that was sick. It was awesome.
That's my number 2 one. Joining a team is, even just traveling and doing everything with the hobby has been the most fun, meeting all the people.
100%.
It's been
crazy because we'll be driving and we'll have a 3 or 4 hour drive going to a tournament, and it feels like that. It feels like you haven't even been in the car because you're just sitting there talking about Warhammer.
Yup, talking about what you're taking, what everybody else is taking. This is the one where you go 5-0 every time.
Yeah, every time, dude. This is the one. We're winning it, dude. Yeah. So honestly, what I would recommend to new players, since I guess we would be a little bit outside of new players, but is meet people and just have fun. There's probably going to be sweaty people at every tournament, but if you lose the first 1 or 2 games, you'll probably never have to deal with them, and then you're just hanging out with the chill people the whole time, and it's fun.
Even sweaty people can be fun to play against.
100%.
Both of us are pretty sweaty players, and our games are still fun.
We try to not take it too serious.
Yeah.
The ultimate goal of playing a Warhammer game is wanting the best outcome for you and your opponent, and just beating them straight off strategy,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, hit us with the number 4 take of yours, Colton.
My number 4 take was that I'm glad that they're doing rules online where you can view and update them, but the fact that you pay a sub for the Warhammer app and can't view anything about the codex once the codex comes out unless you buy the codex is the dumbest thing. I hate it so much.
One might call it dog shit.
Yeah, I hate it.
It's terrible.
Why am I
fucking,
paying a sub?
Let me pay a $15 sub and give me access to all the codexes and let me build as many lists as I want. Okay.
I
increase the price.
I would pay $15 if it meant I got access to every codex.
100%.
Especially when I don't like, especially space, like the Space Marine sub codexes. I don't want to buy those. There's like, I only need the data sheet for like 4 units.
No.
In which I'm sure a lot of people have those memorized, but I need to buy the Space Marine codex.
Like, if you're playing against somebody, we have like a tournament that we go to that's like local, that some of the players aren't as well informed about stuff. And it's nice to be able to like double check some of the stuff that they're doing just so you can verify like, hey, yeah, this is legit. This is what's happening. Because it's too hard to just pull up Wahapedia, like, because it's a website. You have to like actually find exactly what you're looking for, where the app, I mean, honestly, the app is very well made. So like I want to use it. I ain't paying $60 for every codex, dog.
Yeah. Especially playing against armies that you might not have many reps in, just being able to check like, is that really how that is? And just going to look something up. Like there's some armies that I barely have any reps into. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to take your word for it because I don't know.
It is what it is, dude. I'll check it tonight when I'm laying in my bed after you smack my ass, dude.
Yeah. I'll be looking at it afterwards and be like, dang, come in.
Bruh. Shoot. Yep. And even like whenever, so you and I play, and like you can, the way that like you and I have developed our relationship is we like cross check each other so that way we make sure that we're doing our rules right. But even for that, like I play orcs and the orcs have a codex, so it's harder for you to even like double check my stuff and like make me a better player. So open up the rules to everybody would make just everybody a better player.
It really would. Yeah, we especially when we first started playing the game, we rules lawyered each other on everything, dude. I remember every time the daggum Eradicate? No, was it Eradicator?
Yeah, it was the Eradicator brick with Vulcan Histon.
Every time they shot and they had the dumb ability, total obliteration, Taylor said, I get to shoot again. I'm like, there's no way you just get to shoot twice.
No way, dude.
There's no way.
Yeah.
And every time I read it, every single time I read it, I was like, no, he gets to, I guess he just gets to shoot twice.
True. I guess that's right. Okay. And you know what? We might just be totally like, this might just be how things have always been, but it's in like, we're just into the hobby and it's dumb.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, new player perspective. All right. My number 2. All right. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but I put Tabletop Simulator as my top 2, and I know what you're gonna say. This is a miniature game. If you ain't playing with real miniatures on a real table, you're not playing the game right. And you know what I say? Fuck them.
Okay, fuck them. That's why.
Because fuck them, dude. I'll tell you why. From a new player perspective, is I don't have to dump $1,000 into an army that I'm like, I don't like playing this. And then you paint a few models is like, I don't like painting these models. And I also know what you're going to say. Don't just binge buy a whole army. No,
I'm going to.
I want it now. Okay. So I'm going to buy the whole army. Okay. I started out with salamanders. I was building a salamander army. And this kind of worked out because a lot of the salamander models that I bought got like put to legends when 10th edition came out. Because I ended up shifting away and just doing custodies because I really liked the models and I had to pay way less money to get into it. But when you're first learning the game, you don't know what's good. Yeah. You don't know like what different armies do or like what they're supposed to do. So I feel like 90% of our games in that first year were just off Tabletop Simulator. And especially because we have a friend in California who would also play with us that we would never be able to play the game with.
Okay. 7 AP minus 5.
How much damage are these? 4? Just need to get 4 ups on every single one of these. Easy. Money. Gucci. Oh my. Goated. Wow.
Oh my god.
And that really helped us develop our love for the game, is playing through Tabletop Simulator. So Tabletop Simulator is great. It's a little bit more finicky and not as close. It's not exactly how it would play out on the table because it's all exact measurements.
Yeah, there's some
But-
things you can't. You could be real exact at TTS, and sometimes in measuring with
Yeah.
the tape measure, you kind of just like moving minis.
Yeah.
Like you kind of look out over overhead, and you'll get it
Yeah.
as close as possible. You're not moving it exact.
There's going to be some user error
Yeah.
in measuring distances and moving and stuff like that. Yeah.
But TTS
So yeah,
is
Tabletop
great.
Simulator's
I
goated.
think
I want to say that the last 6 months we haven't played too much on TTS just because we've been getting together like very often
yeah.
to play with our own minis.
I think after I only bought TTS to play Warhammer, and I think since we started playing,
Dude, let me
it was
look.
last year January.
Yeah.
I've put in over 2,000 hours on TTS easy.
Dude, let me look.
I think I'm pretty
You
sure
said
it's
how
close
many
to
hours?
2,000. I think 2,000 almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got close to 1,000.
Maybe I haven't. Maybe
It's a
not
lot.
that much then. I got to go look now.
Dude, we can
Oh,
edit
okay, it's
this out. I said
1,400
1,000.
hours. 1,400 hours. That's still a lot of
Golly.
hours. And I don't play anything else on TTS besides
No, just Warhammer.
even I'll use TTS to roll like I work from home, so I'll be on TTS just rolling dice, seeing how things will go.
Doing some
testing
math.
stuff,
It's like, let's see how this roll goes.
Mhm.
You know, what's also nice is TTS on the deal that we use. You can press like a button and it'll pull up the data sheet of that unit. So like it's pretty nice to learn, like just to have practice games, just to learn stuff. I know a lot of the times whenever I'm prepping for a tournament that we're going to, I'll pull up the mission pack and I'll just play those missions
Yep,
with
on
my
TTS.
buddies, and it really helps me define my list to like be like, okay, well, this is like purge the foe. If there's not a lot of other missions that have like X, Y, or Z that needs to be done, I want to try to like limit the amount of units that I'm bringing to like give me a little bit of a head up, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, TTS is
It's good.
great.
It's good. All right, hit us with number 3, Colton.
We kind of already talked about it. My number 3 was traveling to trips. Traveling to
Yep.
trips is almost just as fun as going to the trip. Especially it
100%.
might be a little bit different if you live in a metroplex or a big city where the events are like a 10-minute or 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
But the big events we usually go to are about 3 hours or 4 hours for Taylor from where we live. So it's a trip. It's not just like a quick drive, but it feels quick. It doesn't help that I speed, but
True, dude.
yeah, just talking about the event and getting to see everybody is so much fun. Even once you're at the event, like going out with the boys afterwards to grab a drink or go out for dinner, that's just it's so much fun.
It's amazing. It's honestly the best part for me, at least, is going and hanging out with the boys, you know?
100%.
Because if you sorry.
He's dying.
Because if you've had a bad game or like a bad opponent, there's nothing that makes you feel better than going, eating some food after a really long day of standing up all day, maybe drinking a cold drink and just talking to the boys about it. And then like they don't fix the bad game, but they're like, damn, dude, that fucking sucks, dude. And I'm like, yeah, it
kind of reconcile
it sucks bad. Sucks bad, dude. Yeah.
Traveling to trips.
Hey,
is
what's
fun.
funny? Getting into the hobby, I never thought that I was going to be like the guy that was enjoying like painting and like building the minis. And also like, I never saw myself being like, yeah, I want to go to a tournament. Like I feel it in my bones. Like I miss it. I need it, you know? Yeah.
I tried to see if there was a tournament on Sunday near me anywhere, but there wasn't any. Tournaments are always on Saturdays, unfortunately.
Oof. All right. Well, my number 3 is so a little backstory behind this is Colton and I have played World of Warcraft for a long time, right? Or just MMOs in general. A big tenet of MMOs and the way that they keep things fresh is like having patches, you know, or like data slates. So what was really surprising to me was coming into this miniature war game is that it has almost that same cycle. It's like every 3 months it's going to get changed and it's going to be kept fresh and it's going to be updated. which some people don't like. I love it because we play so much that whatever we're playing kind of becomes stale. And then every 3 months or 6 months, which is like the big one every 6 months, it's like a whole new game almost.
Yeah, everything changes.
And I get it for people that like maybe don't play as much or don't have that much time like invested into it, where it kind of gets irritating because you spend all this time learning these rules or collecting these models. But for degenerates like us, we love it.
Yup.
Like we're just waiting, like itching for the data slate to come out to see what's changing. But also it could be bad, you know, because your army might just get nuked and then you're sad.
So my next one was actually talking about the game balance. So I'm gonna add something kind of negative about the game balance then. I hate when there is a data slate. So I'm gonna add two things. So the worst part, I think, not the worst part, the worst time in the game is when there's about 2 weeks before a data slate, because I keep making lists and I'm like, this is gonna change in 2 weeks. I can't.
Yeah.
I need to stop trying to make lists and make different stuff work, especially when there's not even a tournament I'm going to. So I'm like, why am I trying to make a list right now?
There's a 2 week or like month long period before you know a data slate's coming out that you're just like in purgatory. It's like, why am I doing this?
Like right
now, if you have a tournament right before the data slate, you're not even thinking about it because a lot of the times the rules will get cut off, and then you're just preparing for the tournament, and that's all you're thinking about.
And then the other thing was that I love that they do great data slate. So something with that, because I was actually listening to Art of War the other day, and I guess the game didn't used to be like that. He was like, sometimes they go like 2 years without changes to the game.
Yeah.
So if you had something just typed wrong, like a typo, sucks.
That's scuffed.
So I am glad they do changes every 3 months. Even like if there's something that's completely broken, they've gone. There was something that I don't even remember what it was. There's been a couple things that they go back and change immediately, or like a week after it comes out. But I love that they do all the changes. I wish it was more condensed. I hate that I have to chew through 4 documents to find all of the changes.
100%. Yeah. That's pretty annoying.
Having to
What's
chew
also
through all
annoying
sucks.
In that same vein, because they're in 4 documents, if you're referencing like an FAQ change in the middle of a tournament, you have to figure out which document it was in. And then you're sitting there, and if you're on a clock, you're just like eating up your clock trying to find an FAQ. And then you finally find the document, and then there's like 4 pages within that document. It's like, okay, well, this is what I specifically have to reference.
That are trying
trying
to find a rule. Like there was the one thing I was at where and some people, especially like with people who don't play as like, I don't want to say people are bad. I think people just don't play as much. Because like me and you, we scoured through rules all day. We'll just be looking
100%.
And whenever you play against somebody that doesn't look at the rules a lot, like there was a situation where a guy had a -1 damage strat, and I had -1 weapons, and he told me he was damage 0. I was like, well, it doesn't make it damage 0.
No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Well, in his fairness, on the stratagem, it doesn't say it can't go to 0.
It's in the core rules, right?
It's not even in the core rules. It's like in some deep FAQ that says cannot be reduced to 0. But I had to go dig to find it. They put stuff in such weird places sometimes.
So in the same vein, there was an FAQ change that came out. I was playing against the guard with my custodies. So obviously I need to try to charge behind cover so they can't overwatch me. Because I think at the time they got lethal hits or something on 6s, and they were fishing for 6s anyway, so it was really bad into custodies. So I'm charging behind cover, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to overwatch. I'm like, well, you can't overwatch because we're in engagement range now, and overwatch is it says...
Oh, he wanted to overwatch when the charge ended.
Right, so big guns never tire is only in your shooting phase. They pretty much... And it was the FAQ right before that that clarified that. And I had to like dig through the rules, and I couldn't find it for some reason. And we ended up having to just grab a TO, and the TO was like, no, he's right. Like you can't overwatch if you're in engagement range. And then they kept arguing for like 10 minutes. I'm just sitting here like, I know I'm right, but like I can't find it.
Yeah. And then Even if the ruling, even if you don't agree with the ruling, once the TO says that's it, you just got to go with it.
100%. Yeah.
Even at the Dallas Open, I was playing against a card player, and it was before they got their change to where it said you get lethals on 6s if you remain stationary, but you can only remain stationary in his turn. But he said that he overwatched me and got lethals on 6, and he said that he remained stationary in my turn. I was like, well, you can't remain stationary in my turn. It's a movement ability.
Right.
Because technically you either move or remain stationary. Well, we argued about it, and neither of us were backing down. So we asked the TO, and the TO sided with him, and I was like, I don't think that's right, but I can't do anything about it.
You can't do anything about it.
The TO decided,
which is frustrating. So. Yeah. And issues like that, you kind of just, I mean, once the TO decides that, but that's something that you can bring up potentially after and like argue your case for it. But at the end of the day, if you lose a round in that whole like GT or what do they call the bigger ones?
GTs are the big ones, like super majors.
Super majors. If you're at a super major, if you lose one game, you're not winning the whole tournament. So you may as well just let it slide. Just continue having a good time with your opponent. You know, it is what it is. Don't let it ruin your time. You know, we're playing with little plastic miniatures.
True.
Yeah. So you said that was your number 3 as well, right?
Yes. No, that was my number 2.
Said your number 2. Have we talked about
your
number 3 yet?
We should be on your number 4.
So I just went with the patches. What was your number 3?
My number 3 was traveling to the trip, and then my number 2 we just did was joining a team also and just talking about.
Okay,
people.
so we kind of just linked up on both of those.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 4 is a fucking hot take that I feel pretty passionate about. And honestly, it may not be broken, but it pisses me off. It's being locked in combat or locked in engagement range if you fail a leadership test against like Exalted 8-bound. Who else does it? Mephiston does it. It's toxic, and I hate it. Okay? Especially against like shooting armies that like if you have like a little infantry dude, you just can't access them because they're locked in engagement. So they get to hit you again in the fight phase and then charge you on their turn if you can't pass your leadership.
I'll be charging into your back line too at that point.
Yeah. Especially if you're shooting because they're already in your stuff at that moment. I would like it better if you at least had a chance to fall back, because I would rather sacrifice my unit and hit it with something than that unit's gonna die anyways, and then they're in my shit. They should just have like take a desperate escape test at like a -1 or something.
Yeah.
If they fail a leadership. That's how I feel like it should be.
Like 1 through 3s instead of 1 through 2s.
Yeah, which is not a super common rule, so like it's not that big of a deal, but still it makes me mad.
It doesn't help that 2 of my armies that I play have it.
Yeah, right.
I think those are the only 2 that have it too.
I love saying this as a T-Suns player, where it's like T-Suns play a different game than everybody else. A lot of it's like kind of non-interactive, just with how much mortals and devastating wounds they pump out. But it's honestly, I don't have any suggestions to fix T-Suns, but I just don't like things that make it so you can't interact with the game.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel that.
They shouldn't just shut you down.
Bro, you just needed a 6. Just roll a 6.
Bro, just roll a 6, dude. True. All right, dude. Are we at your number 1?
If it makes you feel any better, don't think I'm taking Mephiston anymore. I think he's too expensive.
So he went up 25 points?
10. He's just 135
10
points now. He's just kind of.
Well, he was also like borderline before, right? Where he's really good, but
yeah,
he was just like one dude.
He was borderline before, I think, and now I think he's way too expensive. I don't know. He's still his damage sheet's good. His damage is just so swingy. D3 damage. And I wish it was
attacks,
like
right.
I think it's 6 or 7. I don't remember. It's just D3 damage is so swingy.
Yeah, with that many attacks, if you're charging into anything with an invul, there's a chance that he only kills like a couple models. And with that many points, you could probably put it somewhere, especially with how many good characters there are in Blood Angels that like
even just taking more trash. Or there's just better, you can take not better loan ops, but you can just take more loan ops for that cost.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you could take the Calidus Assassin for. Is she still 100 points?
Yeah, I think the Cal Assassin's mandatory.
Yeah,
She's
you could
so
take the
good.
Calidus Assassin just for the Vect is insane now.
Vect is very good.
And then the Uppy Downy is great. The reason why Vect is so good, so like armies that need to get into you, so like fighting armies, melee
Mhm.
armies, if you know, if you could predict where your opponent's going, if you're playing against a melee army, you just drop them down where they're far enough away where they don't get charged or they can't get shot, but they're 12 inches away from where they would have to base you.
Mhm.
All of their stratagems are going to be +1.
Yup.
It's insane.
It's really good in the melee. I guess it's not as strong in the shooting armies because they just don't want to get close anyways. But in the melee armies, it's you make orcs fight on death on 3 CP. You make world eaters -1 damage 3 CP.
All the critical strats that they need to operate to survive the activation or change that activation in their favor is probably going to be 2 CP and then it's 3 CP, and that's like backbreaking if you have to spend that.
Even making a 1 CP stratagem, like if you have 3 CP, you're only popping. If you had 3
One.
CP and you're like, okay, I'm popping these 3 1 CP stratagems, you're popping 1 now instead of 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
100%.
We already talked about my number 1, so I'm about to take an audible.
Okay, audible it did.
Because number 1 was game balance, and we kind of already talked about that. My number 1 is honestly, I think, going to be more of a message. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that
don't be
guy,
that guy.
dude.
I haven't encountered very many people that are that guy.
I encountered multiple at one tournament.
The game is we're playing. It's like you said earlier. We're playing with little miniatures. Just have fun and roll dice. It's not.
Yeah.
I can understand it could be sweaty, especially if you're playing against 2 competitive people. But just try to have fun and don't be scammers. Something else with don't being that guy. And some people might not have this mindset, especially if you're at a tournament. And I think it helps if you're playing with friends. I think we do a really good job of whenever we're playing, we look at what the other person's doing. It's like, hey, I think this could be the best thing that you could do. Like helping them. Yeah. You don't have to tell them everything, but
right.
Telling them, stuff that you think could help them or what you think a good play could be. Or don't hold back rules from people. Like if you know you have fight first and you're playing against somebody that doesn't know you have fight first, like don't. Oh, they didn't ask me if I had any fight first. Just tell them you have fight first.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't do that to them. Or
so
if
this
you
is really
have a reactive move or stuff like that.
Yeah, this is really prevalent in armies that you don't have experience into. Mm-hmm. So I don't know about y'all, but whenever I'm playing an army that I'm not familiar with and they're just dumping all their rules on me, you cannot remember every little thing. So like I was playing against Sisters at a team tournament and I was playing T-Sons and I charged my Exalted Sorcerer on disc into something. There's a little Sisters character. She has 1 wound left. Well, I forgot that she had a 2-up invul. So it would have been nice for him to be like, hey, just so you know, this model has a 2-up invul until they fail one. And then I could have been like, oh, I don't want to charge that because I'm not going to kill that and I'm just going to get killed in return because my dude had like 1 wound left as well. So just little things like that. It just makes you go away from the game feeling a lot better. And it's hard to get in the mindset to be open to doing worse or performing worse. But I would be willing to perform worse if it makes my opponent have a better time.
Yeah.
Because if your opponent has a better time, you have a better time.
And it's different if you're playing a top table because most of the time you'll know what other armies do for the most part. But especially if you're playing against newer players or even like just middle tables, or if you're at it's not like a big GT, you're like at a RTT, just be chill about it.
If you're playing a new player and you're not trying to teach them the game, you're a piece of shit.
And you're a piece of shit and you're just wasting time. Like you're
just wasting
you're gonna
time,
win.
Dude.
Why are you what fun are you having?
Yeah. So
don't be that guy.
I'm not sorry.
And
don't be that guy.
Helping your
put on fucking deodorant.
Put on fucking deodorant.
There's multiple types of that guy. Put on deodorant don't be a dick, I think are the two fundamentals of playing Warhammer.
Take a shower before the tournament.
Know your rules so you don't scam someone. The 3 pillars.
Wear
Deodorant,
shoes.
don't
with
be
socks.
a dick. Know your rules. Don't put gas in a battle wagon that has a hard case. Okay? Don't be that guy. All right. So this is my number 5. This is more like just a reflection of what I feel like pushed me into being like decent at the game. So we got into the game at the end of 9th edition. So I think the first tournament packet that we were playing was Arcs of Omen, which we never went to tournaments during this time, but it's when we learned the rules of the game.
Yeah, it was during Arcs.
And like I said earlier, I'm playing Custodes, and Colton's first army was Votan, right? So I don't know if you know this, but Votan, kind of counter a lot of the stuff that Custodes were trying to do. And this is like this might be totally flopped because we were really shit at the game at this time.
We just started playing.
So we may not have known everything that you could have done, but all I know is I was playing Emperor's Chosen, so I couldn't utilize my 1 wound reroll. Okay. All of their stuff auto wounded me on a 4 if I had multiple tokens. And then I couldn't Tanglefoot Grenade because you had Void Armor. My AP got worsened because of Void Armor. What else could I not do? There's one more thing. Oh yeah, I had Transhuman. Guess what? Doesn't matter if they just auto wound you. Crazy.
And you got tokens for doing everything. You got tokens for existing.
Yeah, back when actions happened, and like I think the main ones that you picked was I think you picked Stand Vigil and then Raise Banners, and you just wanted to sit on points. And that gameplay as a new player kind of sucked because the idea of Custodes, like the lore, is like you're supposed to be the best fighters, you're supposed to be the tankiest, right? So I'm just going and sitting on points and then just getting fucking obliterated. And I'm like, this sucks, dude. This is ass.
If I remember correctly, so you got a token every time you did an action.
Mm-hmm.
The high call
every time
got
I killed
to put
something,
out,
right?
Every time you killed something, the high call put out 2 tokens a turn, which you had to be able to see something, but he put out 2 tokens a turn.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because he has that rule now and I hate it. And it's probably just because we were new and didn't think about, I need to make sure I don't get seen by this guy. Because now I'm like, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to see what I want. They're just going to get behind cover where I can't see them.
We also probably didn't play on the right tables, too. It was probably 100%. Lighter on terrain than what we should have been playing on. Also, with Votan, we were playing on this map that had a big old hole in the middle of it, and this motherfucker dips his land fort, his toe in it, and then just obliterates my army. And I remember making a shitty comment. It's like, oh well, I know why you picked this map now. And you're like, no, dude, it's totally balanced. And I'm just getting fucking
It was back when you could just touch terrain and see through it. The good old days.
Yeah.
Now that land fort ain't sitting inside of anything.
No. It's chunky. But playing Votan in 9th edition really made me learn how to pre-measure things and how to position to where I don't just get obliterated.
And hide behind cover.
So yeah, I learned through pain in 9th edition. I will say some of the more fun games. Some of the more fun games was playing with Auric Mortalis, where I was just trying to chase down your land fort and kill it.
The one
and
land
if I
fort.
if I could do it, I'm winning the game. And if I couldn't, then I'm losing the game. And I'm like, well, it is what it is, boys.
It was like me with
here we go.
That one. God, I hated Votan secondaries at 9th. The one where I put down 3 extra markers.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just have to kill them and then
called?
get all these at the end of the game. It was Lay Claim, I think it was called.
Lay Claim, yeah.
And we put down 3 markers. I was like, I just got to table them and then go sit my ass on these markers.
Dude, that was crazy too, because Pioneers could move like 18 inches.
You could auto advance them for 6, yeah. No, you could
and they had old fly.
They auto advanced 6 already. You do it stratagem. They moved 24. You had a stratagem where if they were a accelerated unit, they moved an extra 6. So you could move Pioneers 24, and then the E-Champ had the accelerated, so you could move him 18 inches.
That's insane, dude. Damn. Dude, that's crazy. All right. Well, this is the end of the episode.
Mhm.
We have completed all of our topics. This is going to be our first episode. So make sure you like and subscribe and leave feedback. The besides video quality and mic quality, we know
Yeah,
it's
my
bad.
camera's bugging out.
We're gonna
I don't
work
know
on
what's
it.
going on with it.
But the plan is eventually to release one battle report and one podcast weekly.
Mhm.
So that's the plan. So yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment.
Thanks so much for listening. And if you're that guy,